Welcome back, folks. We are clearly remote. And while I'm in the northern part of the state, in the southern part of the state, we have our good friend and one of the top presidents in the state of New Jersey in terms of universities and colleges, Ali Houshmand, Dr. Ali Houshmand, president at Rowan University. How you doing, doctor?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. You know, I read, I believe it was in ROI, that you said everything, and it actually was specifically April 7th article. We're taping in the middle of May. It'll be seen later. Everything's on hold. What did that mean?
Well, because what it meant was every major decisions that we have to make, and typically every year we make major decisions about constructions, about the creation of new programs, new schools, hiring of certain faculties in certain areas, making certain partnership with different research organizations to build new infrastructures or new business. All of these things suddenly goes on hold because you have to focus the entirety of your energy and the energy of your organization towards the immediate challenge, because it's so overwhelmingly large that you cannot possibly focus in something else. Because as a leader, if you really want to do something, you got to do it right. And by doing it right, that means you have to put your total energy and passion behind it. Otherwise, you're not focused. Therefore, you're not looking at all the solutions. So for all those reasons, we had to set aside all those other projects. We had close to $250 million construction that were almost immediate. We had to suddenly freeze them for at least a year. We had major planning and discussions with entities to build, for example. We're looking at a possible school in veterinary medicine. We were looking at significant expansion in our esports. We had a whole facility, 300 acres that was being considered for a massive sports infrastructure. All of these things had to be basically frozen for now so that we see what happens.
You know, as you lay all that out, the other reality that you and other university and college presidents are dealing with, and let me also say Rowan's one of the institutions of higher learning that is an underwriter of what we do, and I've also taught remotely. Interestingly, it was the first course I taught remotely, Dr. Houshmand, was at Rowan a couple of years ago. But that leads me to the fall. You can't predict. You don't know. No one knows. But what would the conditions have to be for you and your colleagues to make the decision to have students be on campus as opposed to remote, or is there something in between?
Well, let me tell you, the overarching reason and focus of all of us is ultimately the safety of everybody, but the most important thing, students. And the reason for that is very simple. Look at your own child. Your own child is the most precious asset you could possibly have. Nothing else replaces that child. And you bring that child to us and you say, here it is, take care of this child for me. And turn it back to me, turn this child back to me as an educated, productive citizen. And you don't even take any collateral from me. That's a massive trust. So we need to make sure that whatever we do keeps them safe. At the same time, we have certain obligations at the state, depending on what the governor decides to do, what the conditions of the country and the state is at that time, and what the federal government is going to do. But right now, if you ask me what we are planning to do, we believe that we will start. We would have our students in here, but there would be a mix of kind of reducing the class size. Let's assume a 30-student classroom. You probably have 10 students being face-to-face, and the remaining 10 of them, 20 of them in their dorm, and they're doing it through Zoom or through WebEx. And these people could rotate. Or think about 4 sections of, let's say, Biology 101, where all of them can meet with one professor online to lecture, and then we divide them into very small recitation classes. 10 students in that room, and they see professors on for 1 hour. They go through kind of discussions face-to-face that way. So we are looking at all of these possibilities. We are looking at how do we shrink the size of a lecture into clips of 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and how do we deliver them at different times? Does it have to be synchronous, or can it be always asynchronous? All of these things you have to look at, because the fact of the matter is still we have entered a whole new world that we have never experienced before.
You know, Dr. Houshmand, as you talk about all these options, decisions, choices, everything's on the table, but technology and innovation, which Rowan's been very involved in for years, forefront. Is that the key to virtually all of this innovation, being innovative and technologically advanced?
This is the world that we're entering, whether we like it or not. This pandemic has taught us one big lesson, that technology is going to be an integral part of everything that we do. Whether we drive, we fly, we cook food, we get education, or we communicate with each other, you've been in the forefront of it. It's going to be all about technology. And the fact is, the new generation, the Generation X that are coming in and getting to the colleges, these kids are so smart, are so advanced, are so in tune with technology that they are going to define the future world. So between the pandemic and the generations that are so comfortable with it, you're really entering a whole new world where the notion of professors being sages on a stage,
Right.
that's not going to be anymore. Professors are going to be guides on the side. They're going to do different things. Lectures are not going to be 1.5 hours on Tuesdays and 1.5 hours on Thursdays. Learning and the whole degree and the whole, what do you define as credential are going to change because the needs of the society, needs of economy, and the way of learning are going to change. If you really think about it, today I can easily claim that a 15-year-old kid is probably much more advanced technologically than I am with a PhD.
Same here, Ali.
Right?
Yeah.
So think about that. How suddenly the student becomes a professor in this situation.
That's
So
right.
we have to really try to recognize that and adjust accordingly. I think our responsibility as educators is this. We bring young minds from home, the people who have left home for the first time, bring them in here and teach them the way of life. Teach them how to make decisions, right decisions at the right time. How do they use information to package information to look into the future? How do they learn from the past so that they do not make the mistakes of the past and move into the future in the right decisions? These are the way that we need to teach them along the way of focusing them in a particular major. But the teaching is not just a degree, it's not just mechanical engineering or psychology, it's all of the rest of it. How do we street smart? How do we make right decision? Because there comes a time that the parents have to let go of that kid, and that kid has to survive by himself or herself. And when we prepare them to make those kind of decisions, I believe we have done our job. And that really is what I define as an educator.
Dr. Houshmand, I got 1 minute left. Quickly, the economics of higher education moving forward. Go.
Very, very different. It's going to be different. We better become lean, mean. We better learn how to do substantially more with substantially less, because people are not going to bankroll us anymore. States are not going to bankroll us anymore. Feds are not going to bankroll us anymore. It's a business. Run it like a business. Make it efficient and pass the saving to the students. Otherwise, they ain't going to show up. That's a fact.
Well said. That's Dr. Ali Houshmand, President, Rowan University. I want to thank you for joining us. Dr. Houshmand will also be joining us for a separate segment on our leadership program. You can check that out as well. But Ali, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you and your colleagues down at Rowan all the best. Stay safe and be well.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
I'm Steve Adubato. We'll be right back.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, the Russell Berry Foundation, RWJ Barnabas Health, New Jersey Sharing Network, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, PSE&G, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Gibbons PC, and by United Airlines. Promotional support provided by AM 970 The Answer, and by Meadowlands Chamber. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.